It is the final weekend for candidates to get their messages out to voters before election night. The latest from the campaign trail and voter turnout so far. Plus, a former Milwaukee elections official has been charged after requesting military ballots for fake voters. This is News 3 Now at noon. Good afternoon, I'm Mark Kane. Thanks for joining us. Let's head right over to the Weather Center. Meteorologist Greg Barnard has the latest on some weather alert days we're facing. Greg?
Yeah, we got one today for just heavy rain potential. There's even a few strong storms towards the border of Illinois and Wisconsin where we've had some small hail reports. But right now it is raining outside. You can see the camera right there. Alert day, like I said, for heavy rainfall, 1 to 3 inches, potentially a little bit higher amounts through tonight, ending kind of tomorrow morning. Then the strong winds kick in, and that's really tomorrow morning once the rain lets up. 45 gusting, maybe even higher than that, south central southeastern. You can see with the radar coverage right now, it's beginning to fill up, and that whole line that's to the west is the one that's going to shift further east later this afternoon and evening, and it's going to sit over the area and provide the heavy rainfall potential. Right now we have a few thunderstorms ahead of the line. Some of them have become strong. There's been a few small dime-sized hail reports in northern Illinois, but they do weaken once they come up to in Wisconsin. But you could still see that near the border right there. Futurecast shows that line beginning to push further east, and once it does, it's going to sit over our head for at least the next 12 to 18 hours, and that's what's going to eventually give us some heavy rainfall. Not much movement in the temperatures. Will actually go down this evening with the thunderstorms potential. The winds won't be the problem today. That won't be the issue, but then you can see overall the temperatures are going to fall to the 50s and even to the 40s further north where they're going to be on the backside. And you can see that whole fletch of moisture beginning to pull north from the southwest to the northeast, so that's going to continue as a progression of the front slowly pushes east. And I'll fill in how much rain will be expected and how strong those winds will get tomorrow a bit later in the broadcast.
All right, we'll check back. Thanks, Greg. Madison police are looking for a missing man who was last seen on Halloween. 24-year-old Theodore Ouija was last seen on the city's west side. Police say he was wearing a maroon waffle shirt and is described as 5 feet 8 inches tall and weighs 150 pounds. Officers do not suspect foul play, but anyone with information is asked to call police. A former Milwaukee elections official is now facing misconduct charges for allegedly sending falsely obtained military absentee ballots to a state lawmaker. Kimberly Zapata was charged with 3 misdemeanor counts of election fraud. Milwaukee's mayor says Zapata requested military ballots for fake voters through the state's My Vote website. She allegedly sent them to Republican Representative Janelle Brandtjen to show that voter fraud was possible. Zapata was fired as soon as the city found out. She will make her initial court appearance at the end of the month. Today's your last chance to register to vote before Election Day next week. If you're unsure about your voter registration status, you can easily check online on the My Vote website. Registration is open at early voting locations through today, but if you can't make it out today, you can still register at the polls on Tuesday. You'll need to show proof of residency. For everything you need to know about Election Day, visit channel3000.com. Well, the governor's race now tied in the polls between Tony Evers and Republican Tim Michels may not mean as much as you think. Republicans may be poised for a veto-proof majority in the legislature, zeroing out the governor's powers.
It's going to come down to really 5 or 6 seats and to see whether Republicans will get that supermajority.
It's not probable, but it's possible Republicans could gain those 5 seats.
Join Eric Franke in the little-known story of a handful of races that could shake the balance of power for years in Wisconsin. We have that and many more deep dives in an hour-long election special airing this Saturday at 7 p.m. Today, Senator Bernie Sanders will be in Madison to encourage young people to vote next week. The Our Future Is Now rally will be held tonight on the UW campus's Library Mall. Doors open at 6:30, and Sanders will take the stage at 8. The event is first come, first serve. Across the nation, candidates in this year's midterm elections are scrambling for support just days before voters head to the polls. Natalie Brand has more from the campaign trail.
It looked like 2020 on the campaign trail Thursday night with President Biden and former President Trump holding dueling rallies for midterm candidates.
They're trying to suppress the right to vote and subvert entire elections.
We will stop the crime wave in Democrat-run cities. We will give our police the power they need and the respect they deserve.
With just 4 days to go, candidates are cramming in as many events as possible, especially in Pennsylvania, where the state's open Senate seat could help decide the balance of power in Washington. CBS News asked Democrat John Fetterman about some voters' concerns following his stroke in May.
I would say we have shown more and shared more kinds of medical evaluation, more than virtually anyone, unless you're running for the president.
Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz has focused his closing message on the economy and crime.
We have families all over the Commonwealth worried about crime, so much so they won't send their kids outside.
With control of Congress at stake, more than 35 million Americans have voted early, either by mail or in person, according to the United States Elections Project.
Democrats are feeling very encouraged by that because, you know, the larger the turnout, the better it is for Democrats.
Yeah. Republicans are touting increased diversity in their field of candidates, with 89 Black, Latino, Native American, and Asian House candidates.
There's a lot of significance about the Latino working class that is realigning, like the white working class in this country, and supporting more of a populist conservative message that they saw under Donald Trump.
Analysts say it will all come down to voter turnout as parties make their final pitches leading up to Tuesday. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
And at his rally in Iowa, Mr. Trump hinted that he will very likely run again for president in 2024. Well, new data from the CDC shows alcohol-related deaths in the U.S. spiked during the COVID-19 pandemic. The CDC found alcohol-induced deaths jumped 26% between 2019 and 2020, killing more than 49,000 people in 2020. Alcoholic liver disease was the underlying cause for more than half of the alcohol-induced deaths in 2020, followed by mental and behavioral disorders due to the use of alcohol. Pfizer and BioNTech officials say people who get the new bivalent booster for COVID-19 have stronger immune responses against the BA4 and BA5 subvariants compared to those who didn't get the shot. In a statement, the drug makers say the bivalent booster roughly quadruples the level of neutralizing antibodies from the variants in people over the age of 55. Health experts advise people to get boosted this fall in order to prevent a possible surge in COVID cases. There's more to come on News 3 Now at noon. Inflation is not stopping the holiday shopping rush. That story and more coming up in the Money Watch Report.
You're watching News 3 Now at noon.
Think crime is bad now? Mandela Barnes would make it worse. Barnes would eliminate cash bail even after the Waukesha Christmas parade attack, supports amnesty and sanctuary cities for illegals, and had worked for a radical group that wants to defund the police. Barnes has a long record of smearing police while spending your tax dollars on security for himself. Mandela Barnes, wrong on crime, dangerous for Wisconsin. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
New in 2023, iCare Medicare plan members receive an allowance of $150 total per month to spend on items like eligible healthy foods, OTC products, home supplies, wellness care, or living support such as rent, utilities, and internet. All unused monthly funds roll over until the end of the year. If you have Medicare and Medicaid, call us, and a licensed sales agent will help find out if you're eligible. Rest easy. iCare is looking out for you and your health.
As governor, I'll always try to do the right thing. I've worked with both parties to find middle ground to improve and invest in our public schools, cut income taxes, and put our state on solid financial footing. But here's what I won't do. I won't cut public school funding. I won't be Donald Trump's puppet, and I'll never allow radical politicians to make decisions about abortion. That should be left to women and their doctors. I'm Tony Evers, and I'm asking for your vote.
GTW is different from the other personal injury firms because we actually do trials. We have gotten great results for our clients and will continue to do so.
All in to win. Gingras, Thompson, and Walks.
With the right tools and a little hard work, you can do it yourself. And with the right kind of paint, you can finish the job faster. Pittsburgh Paints and Stains exceeds your expectations with products that can cover your walls in one coat. So instead of another coat of paint, you can finally get outside. One coat paint means time better spent. Pittsburgh Paints and Stains, exclusively at Menards.
Over
800 convicted criminals released. 270 murderers and attempted murderers released. 44 child rapists released. Tony Evers' parole commission has released hundreds of violent criminals early, including some of the worst killers in Wisconsin history. Evers' liberal policies are making our communities less safe. Tony Evers put criminals first and our family's safety last.
Some major companies are shedding jobs over concerns of a possible economic downturn in the coming months. In a regulatory filing, ride-sharing company Lyft says it will be cutting 700 jobs, while payment processing company Stripe announced it would cut around 1,000 jobs. Amazon is hitting pause on new corporate hires, and the New York Times and Washington Post are both reporting on an internal email sent to Twitter employees warning mass layoffs there would begin today, just days after the social media giant was taken over by new CEO Elon Musk. That news, though, isn't expected to turn the U.S. into a nation of Grinches. The National Retail Federation says this year's holiday shopping season will be healthy despite inflation. The trade group forecasts retail sales in November and December to grow 6 to 8% over last year. Those predicted gains, though, are less than last year when holiday sales grew more than 13% over 2020, shattering previous records. And speaking of shattering records, this Saturday brings another chance to win the Powerball jackpot, which has grown to $1.5 billion. That's the third largest lottery jackpot in U.S. history. The cash payout is nearly $746 million before taxes. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to CBSMoneyWatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Dan Lieberman.
And a quick note, earlier we said that Bernie Sanders is speaking at the UW Campus Library Mall. He'll actually be at the Orpheum Theater. Again, that's tonight at 8 o'clock. He'll take the stage doors open at 6:30. It's first come, first serve. Bernie Sanders at the Orpheum Theater. Let's check Wall Street at the noon hour. The Dow Industrials up 8 points. The NASDAQ, though, down 34. The S&P 500 up almost 5 points. Our call for action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. You're taking a live look at the Call for Action studio. Volunteers are here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can call for action right now at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call-for-action. Latest job numbers show businesses continue to bring in workers, but hiring is slowing down. Usher Qureshi takes a closer look.
Nabor Reynoso is gearing up for the busy holiday season now that he's a full-time driver for UPS. He had planned to become a personal trainer, but plans changed.
And I realized that I can make more money as a UPS driver, so that's what ended up happening.
A new report from the Labor Department shows employers added 261,000 jobs in October. Historically, it's a healthy number, but down from the average of 381,000 jobs over the previous 3 months. The unemployment rate ticked up to 3.7%.
As the economy slows down, there are not going to be as many job openings.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the weakening economy has some companies dialing down.
There's not going to be the need to fill as many jobs, and I think we're seeing some sectors actually contract, like the technology sector.
UPS plans to hire at least 100,000 seasonal workers. Many other companies are also trying to fill holiday positions.
Amazon and Target are hiring at roughly the same levels as the last holiday season. But Walmart, the nation's largest retailer, is only adding about a quarter of the workers it did last year. UPS wants to bring on the same number of workers as 2021. The company is now holding nationwide hiring events in person and online.
We've simplified our hiring process as much as we can. About 80% of the folks do not require an interview.
Thousands of those holiday hires can lead to full-time positions. Nabor got his seasonal job last year and eventually earned a permanent position. Usher Qureshi, CBS News, Chicago.
There's more to come at 4. Or more at 4. Up next, Pam has today's egg prices, and Greg has the latest weekend forecast. And then later on Live at 4, we'll speak with Aaron Moriarty for a preview of the 48-hour special investigating the Chandler Halderson murders. That's coming up today at 4.
When cleaning your air ducts, it's important to clean the entire system. And air duct cleaning from Stanley Steamer removes pounds of trapped dirt, dust, and allergens from your home completely. Call today for a free inspection.
Stanley Steamer gets your home cleaner.
Breaking news in Dallas, Texas, where at least 5 police officers were killed when they were ambushed.
This was the deadliest day for U.S. law enforcement since 9/11.
Just days after this horrific crime, Mandela Barnes appeared on Vladimir Putin's propaganda news outlet and rationalized violence against American police officers.
Police officers are over-exercising their badges. This probably was a retaliatory attack.
Do you want Mandela Barnes representing you in the Senate?
I'm Ron Johnson, and I approve this message.
Nothing beats a great night's sleep on a new Beauty Rest mattress from Steinhoffels. Right now, you can get a Beauty Rest Queen mattress for only $399. Or get $200 in Steinhoffels cash when you upgrade to the redesigned Beauty Rest Black. More luxurious and comfortable than ever. And with Steinhoffels special financing, your mattress just got more affordable. Isn't it time you got a great night's sleep? Relax. It's Steinhoffels.
Tim Michaels and Tony Evers have very different plans for Wisconsin. Tim Michaels wants to ban abortion, including in cases of rape or incest. Tony Evers wants to get your costs down. Michaels would jail the doctors who perform abortions. Evers would lower cost for families. And while Michaels said gay people shouldn't leave their house, Evers is still really set on that cost thing. So here's the choice. Tim Michaels' plan for fewer rights and more division, or Tony Evers' plan to drive costs down, down, down.
The Stanley Steamer started with one man, a van, and a whole lot of carpet. We've been innovating for a long time. Stanley Steamer now goes beyond carpet. Schedule a cleaning today.
Pitch me. The Shaka Khan is on the Jennifer Hudson Show. Y'all ready for this? Now pinch me again, because she's performing. That was amazing.
On the next Jennifer Hudson Show at 3.
As Campaign 2022 approaches the finish line, News 3 Now presents a special midterm election preview.
We're spotlighting key races and issues, fact-checking candidates, and hearing the voices of voters in battleground Wisconsin.
Saturday at 7 p.m. on News 3 Now. The Farm Report is sponsored by Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
Let's check in now with Pam Yankee from the Midwest Farm Report on this wet Friday.
Yep, that's right. I saw people earlier today trying to rake leaves like crazy before they were stuck to the ground, and this is going to give our Wisconsin farmers a little chance to maybe catch up on the harvest process out there. You know, one thing that you may or may not have noticed at the pump lately is just how expensive diesel prices have become for Wisconsin farmers, and there is a lot of talk on social media and elsewhere about potential shortages of diesel. Veronica Nye, who is a senior economist at the American Farm Bureau Federation, says that diesel supplies are really varying region by region. If you were to go to the pump, one thing that you would notice right away is that today an average, well, I should say on October 31st, average gallon of diesel was $5.32 a gallon versus gasoline about $3.86 a gallon. So farmers are really experiencing quite an escalated cost on this harvest as far as diesel. And it's not just in the field. It's also going to be our supply chain trying to get that grain into the market channels. There are regional shortages that are being discussed. Like I said, a lot about social media. I haven't heard anybody in Wisconsin that's having a hard time getting diesel. But in the Midwest, our supplies are down about 15%. West Coast and Rocky Mountains are down about 11%. And the East Coast, where it's most severe, they're down about 37% as far as diesel supplies availability. It's all about those refineries and what they're choosing to produce. Not much production today as far as dairy complex is concerned in Chicago. Barrel and block cheese both remain unchanged. And here we go again. Apparently, the market's got an appetite for butter, up 10.5 cents again today to rally back to $2.77 1/4 per pound. So there we go. Just didn't even have to pay for that ride, and I'm on a roller coaster all the way around. So butter back up again today.
No Packer shirt today.
I know. I apologize, Packer Nation. Relax. Farm Babe is still with you, but I've got to go to the Wisconsin Honey Producers Association convention, and I didn't think me showing up like I was in my yard clothes would necessarily be the way to go.
You're forgiven. Go Pack.
Thank you. Go Pack.
All right. Thanks, Pam. It's fall marathon season, and runners are gearing up for races around the country. But as runners train, Bradley Blackburn shows new advice from doctors about how to avoid injuries along the way.
Maddie Goodman has been lacing up for marathons for years and training on the streets of New York City.
I run like mainly in Central Park.
But this year, as she trained for the Chicago Marathon, she knew something wasn't right with her hip.
I was compensating on other parts of my body on one side because I was having pain in my left hip.
Dr. Brett Torsdahl with New York's Hospital for Special Surgery treated Maddie, one of many marathoners he sees this time of year.
I see a lot of runners with hip problems, knee problems, ankle foot's definitely common.
In a recent study, he tracked hundreds of runners from the New York City Marathon and found conservative training can be key to avoiding injury.
We saw that as runners started to increase their training too quickly, it seemed that they were putting themselves at risk of injury.
He tells runners to make gradual changes during training. Some online training plans push too hard and don't make up for skipped sessions by adding extra long runs.
That's where people started to get injured, when they had a big spike in their training.
Maddie had overused the TFL muscle in her leg, but a cortisone injection helped just in time for Chicago, where she ran a 3:01, her personal best.
I was just totally speechless. I really was like, I think they tracked the wrong runner and it wasn't me.
She's now pacing herself and adding more strength training to get ready for her next race.
Just go out, have a great time, and enjoy.
And be careful how you train.
Be careful how you train, yeah.
Because it's a marathon, not a sprint. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
And that study found during marathon training, 40% of runners reported injuries. Well, if you're heading out today running, you might want to grab a poncho or something. It's a little wet out there.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be running today in this weather right now. But yeah, incredible. We got 50, even 60 dew points all the way up here right now. So that's the amount of moisture that's been pulled northward. So that's why we've seen some thunderstorms too. We've got the southwest flow ahead of that system that's pulling the moisture up too in front of it. It's going to kind of stall out over here, and you're going to see this little low come up to the north. That's what's going to eventually clear everything out by tomorrow. But the cold air still stays locked to the north. We really get a rebound in temperatures next week before we get that another front come down towards Veterans Day. So although we're going to have rain, the temperatures are really not going to cool off that much compared. But today, really through tonight, is going to be this front that's going to just sit over there in that line of showers and embedded thunderstorms is really just going to be there all the way through tomorrow until we get a low that pushes up towards Iowa and then lifts everything north. That'll then transition everything from the rain. We'll get to the wind then for Saturday as that continues to lift north. A weak little front maybe Sunday, but Sunday overall looks pretty good with temperatures around 60 and then a little bit of wind. We do have some marginal risk for some storms. We had a few storms earlier today, had dime-sized hail right to the south into Illinois, so that's about the strongest you're going to get. So any places down there might see that. Otherwise, most of it's just going to be heavy rainfall. As you go through today, 5 p.m., we got just a line of showers and embedded thunderstorms pretty much across the area. It's just training over the same area. It's just going to gradually shift more to the east overnight. We're still going to have it. The best shot will probably be more southwestern Wisconsin, but still overall, everyone's going to get it. Temperatures don't cool off too much overnight. They'll be in the 50s most of the time. We'll wake up to about 50s, 40s to the north, but then when we get 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., that's when everything transitions more to the wind. And that's what you'll see more in the afternoon as the wind starts increasing. A few showers here and there, but Saturday, for the most part, in the afternoon will be dry. We'll be dealing with a lot more wind than anything else. The temperatures will kind of start falling in the afternoon, setting up there. For the wind, gusts to 40, 45, even higher across south central, southeastern Wisconsin. We'll have some more over there. They do have a wind advisory out for those areas. Precipitation, 2 to 3 inches. Could have spotty more, but it's going to be a good beneficial rain for most areas. Don't see much of a flooding issue with this just because we've had dry in a dry October. But definitely, if you got leaves in the places and the gutters and drains, that might be an area where you might see some ponding of water. Otherwise, we kind of cool off a little bit, but still well above average through Election Day. We might get back in the mid-60s with that push of warmer air Tuesday before we have another front come through Thursday, Friday. Friday and on looks a little bit interesting. There's some conflicting selves, but we might see some snow too mixing in with that by that time.
Well, it's the middle of November at that point.
Yeah, you would expect it by then.
All right, hang on your hats.
Yes.
Thank you, Greg. There's more to come on News 3 Now at noon. Up next, let's see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
What we're making today is nacho everyday breakfast, but it may become your new breakfast favorite.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
Welcome to Oakmont Senior Community in Verona. Active seniors 55 plus will enjoy our new luxury apartments, professionally managed by award-winning Attic Angel Community. Call today for a tour and reserve your place at Oakmont.
For Clinton Anderson, our community is his top priority. He's delivered for middle-class families on the Beloit City Council, and he'll keep fighting to lower costs for us in the Assembly. Jeff Klett's priorities are all wrong. He supports dismantling our public schools, wants to slash community services to give tax breaks to his billionaire backers, and he'll vote with extreme Republicans to enforce Wisconsin's abortion ban, which could send doctors to prison. We can't afford Jeff Klett.
Remember this? Forecasts are predicting an unreasonably cold and snowy winter. Now's the time to winterproof your home with USA Insulation. 35% more efficient than traditional insulation. Our foam in your walls keeps the cold air out and your warm air in. It's like putting a coat around your entire home. Call now before winter and get a $500 early bird discount.
USA Insulation.
Struggling to pay their bills. Yet Mandela Barnes supports a tax increase on working families. How could he? Barnes also supported hiring an army of 87,000 new IRS agents unleashed on families just like yours. That's terrifying. Mandela Barnes, higher taxes and IRS audits for you, unpaid taxes for him. Remember that on Election Day. Wisconsin Truth Bank is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Welcome to Oakmont Senior Community in Verona. Active seniors 55 plus will enjoy our new luxury apartments, professionally managed by award-winning Attic Angel Community. Call today for a tour and reserve your place at Oakmont.
When the weekend finally rolls around, we often have to balance how much time we need to devote to our to-do list with how much time we can spend relaxing and having fun. With the recipe we're making today, you can start your day with a fun-to-eat breakfast no matter what you have planned. And since it's fast, filling, and really tasty, you can't miss. The first thing we do is scramble a few eggs until they're fluffy. A little trick to get the fluffiest eggs ever: add a touch of warm water to them before cooking them. Then we spoon our eggs over some tortilla chips that we piled onto an oven-proof platter. Over that goes some sliced breakfast sausage, crumbled bacon, fresh salsa, and lots of shredded cheddar cheese. We'll pop this in the oven, and while it warms, we'll get some scallions and jalapenos ready to sprinkle on top. Once the cheese is melted and the chips are super crispy, it's time to dig in. Think of this as a rise and shine version of your favorite Nacho Supreme. To get the recipe for our fun-to-share breakfast nachos, simply visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a nacho everyday breakfast way to say, ooh, it's so good.
And here's Greg with one final check of the forecast.
Yeah, we just got, like I said, alert day for it. We got the rain coming in. That's 1 to 3 inches. We have the winds today, but more tomorrow for the strong winds. Temperatures overall mild, but then there's the radar. That's what we're expecting, and it should be like that pretty much all night.
All right, we'll see you back here at 4. Have a great afternoon.